anything to keep you guys awake. This is 4 hours of dry material. We're doing whatever we can. Right, Steve? Calls from your wife.
Yeah. You know what? She could bring Rush in here and have him run around. That'd be fun. Yeah, there were extra copies for this afternoon's class in the copier, so she's going to bring them by. Sweet. Excellent. And then I'm going to give her my wallet. Yes, she is. You know what she got? A couple of years ago for Valentine's Day, she gets me a knife holder for the kitchen. It's this plastic I lean back with 8 butcher knives stuck in them. for Valentine's Day.
I see a message.
Well, you know, she says she's never getting divorced again. Just widowed. You know my wife.
He sleeps with one eye open.
Yes, I do. Yeah, she watches forensic shows with a notebook. But she has the seasoned angel seed, so.
All right, so
Please
next
continue.
slide.
Where the hell did I put it?
That's a mystery.
There it is.
Current forms. The forms haven't really been updated. The flow chart actually has been updated in 2010, but the forms, 1999 still?
Still?
Still 1999. So
you can party like it's 1999.
well, actually, no. Part of them have changed because
Some
of
of
the
them have
cyanides.
been updated.
Yes. So it now includes the cyanides, which weren't on them before.
Right. You will find things on the flow chart that may not really be on a form. Things are exemptions that are the exemptions in the statute that are not on the form. If you look at some of the form, if you look at one of the, I think if you look at the conditional exempt limited form, there's still a whole set of detail and check boxes for aerosol can puncturing with a nail on a stick.
Right.
You can make your own forms. Nothing's stopping you. I think this is Orange County CUPA. Woohoo! They have a form that they fill out that authorizes them to make new forms. And they've made their own form. They've updated them a little bit, and they're, you know, hucky-duck. Kudos to the county. Great job. Here's yet another form with a green border. So they've updated these forms, and everyone can read that in the back. And these are updated
well, you have
with
copies
the
of all
statute.
the forms in your package. One of the nice things on this is we've not only given you the PowerPoint presentation, but we've given you the actual copies of all the forms.
We didn't give you copies of these forms because you can go to Orange County CUPA's website, which is also fabulous. Woo! And download those.
No CD this year?
Pardon me?
No CD?
No CD. I think I only did that the first year, and I thought, man, this is a real pain in the neck. I thought I'd get business out of it. I just had to mail out more CDs. It's a coaster, not a coster. Now, the fact sheets are newer than the forms, but they're still, 5, 6 years old. Most of them are still pretty good and pretty accurate. They've updated the PBR one. Actually, no, they have not updated
the PBR one.
And it's 2003. But no matter what, and everybody knows this, any fact sheet or guidance, you always go back to the statute and regulations to see what the requirements are.
All right, exercise. We got a little exercise on the flow chart. So you guys are going to use the flow chart. You've all become generators. You've got waste streams. Okay. We'll go ahead and go through these. So for number one, we have an Acme Wheel Corporation generates an aqueous waste with 2,000 ppm of chrome 3. The company treats the waste in a 300-gallon tank and generates 1,200 gallons of waste per month. They use pH adjustment to treat the waste for corrosivity and remove the metals prior to discharging the water to the sewer. So by treating and discharging to the sewer, they're federally exempt, right? Because that was one of the exemptions for federal. Okay, so who came up with an answer on this one? Or you guys just want me to read the answers and you want to be silent?
Which is faster?
Right, so the first one, number 1, deals with chrome waste, which is what we have, but it's chrome 6, right? And we have chrome 3, so it doesn't fit that, right? So we skip 1. We go to 2A, and it says an aqueous waste with metals. Is that what we have? So that fits, right? And then what are we doing? We're doing pH adjustment, right? Okay, and then how much were we doing? We're doing 1,200 gallons. So that's greater than 55, right? And then what's the concentration? Was 2,000 ppm. That's greater than 1,400. So what did we get? So you can see how the information we flowed through the chart to get to where we were. So once you find it, you don't need to continue to go through the chart. Well, 2B, exactly. It's an aqueous waste with metals. That's correct. And pH adjustment. So,
Concentration kicks it out.
yeah. So that's why not 2B, or not 2B. Because of the concentration of the acid, or the metals.
Yeah, you could probably go to 2B for that waste stream, but by the time you get to the concentration, the 2B, it wouldn't be eligible under that part of the flow chart.
That's why the information, all the information is important, because it has to flow to that spot.
Steve?
Yes.
So if it had a pH of 1.5, you couldn't use this.
Actually, in the DTSC world where they say like aqueous waste with metals, that can be a corrosive. Basically, it's aqueous or organic, one or the other.
I'm looking at the pH adjustment in the second chart.
Yeah.
Greater than or equal to 2.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it has to be in that range. So if it's a pH 1,
Concentrated acid bath. Concentrated acid bath.
Actually,
And what
that
was
is-
your question?
No, see right here, that's
tight range.
that's
It should.
That
That's
should
a
be after-
typo. 'Cause
or it should be after
less than
treatment,
2.
because this aqueous waste with metals are typical plating streams.
Yeah.
So that,
Stripping bath.
yeah, so I'll go back and check, but that should be, I think that should be post-treatment. Interesting question though, but the 2B and 2A, those are acid waste with metals, or caustic waste with metals, is typically what that is.
So is it the whole range?
Going in, yeah, but I think this is adjusting to those pHs. Yeah. Right, for
Right.
corrosivity, yeah.
So not the waste going in, what you're adjusting it to.
It could be clearer on the flow chart, grant you that.
Okay, so I'm still a little confused. The waste bath coming into the process.
Can be hazardous due to corrosivity.
Oh, can? Okay.
Yeah, and then it's just being neutralized between 2 and 12.5.
Yes,
Nobody's going to neutralize to 1.5.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so that can happen first, and then you,
Right.
Well,
or that has to happen first.
no, the influent waste stream can be corrosive with metals. Can be below 2, greater than 12.5.
So you are allowed to treat that waste.
Treating 2 to 12.5.
You're treating to that pH range.
Okay?
And again, it could be clearer on here. But
We got more questions. Yes. Why?
yeah,
Yeah,
what
PDR
kind
is
of
California.
for this kind of treatment, it's typically this will be treated in the federally exempt, totally enclosed treatment facility. It'll go, it'll be piped in, treated in a set of equipment, and then it doesn't release anything during the treatment, and then discharged to the sewer under a POTW permit.
Yeah, so it is exempt. Has to be federally exempt, or California couldn't give
Yeah,
it a lower
and
tier.
it would be.
Okay. Can we go on to 2? We're happy with 1? Bright Metals, Inc. generates a plating waters with metals and cyanide from their rinsing process. They generate 1,500 gallons of waste per month that is batch treated in a 200-gallon tank using bleach to destroy the cyanide. So where did we find that? Yeah, so that's, when we talk about the numbering system, there's lettering too. So that one came up. It's interesting because there are technologies for cyanide destruction that are not on the table. So you have to make sure that they're managing it within what is allowed. Any questions? Because that one was kind of straightforward, but I wanted people to look at the different area for the cyanide. Right. A, PBR. All cyanide is PBR, so that part's easy. Yep.
If there was a case where the technology is not there, would you then go to full permit?
Yeah. Well, again, when you say full permit, yeah, it's full permit, but it's probably going to be RCRA exempt, so it would be a standardized permit.
Still, has anybody applied for and received a standardized permit? It's not your 2-month review time get
Right.
approval permit. It's notebooks of data and a lot of time to review. Probably easier for them to switch to a PBR listed technology.
And that's going to be issued by DTSC.
The standardized permit, yes.
Right. All right, so going on to number 3. Your company treats acetic acid from a process line using pH adjustment neutralization. Anybody catch on to why I put the chemical formula there? It's an organic acid, right? Okay. So what happened on organic acids? Can you treat organic acids under tier permit? It's nowhere on the table. How bizarre would it be to use acetic acid? Is that a weird acid? No. Yeah, I mean, what if you wanted to do neutralization on your acetic acid? What are you going to do? Is it federally regulated? No, right? Because it would be simple neutralization, acid-based neutralization.
Elementary neutralization unit, acid-based neutralization.
The feds don't differentiate between organic and inorganic acids on that exclusion. So it's a standardized permit. So for this company that wants to do this, again, not a strange, bizarre situation. It's going to fall under standardized permit.
Unless, well,
yeah, that's, I mean.
yeah, if it came from a biotech facility, and you look in that statute, there's some additional conditions in there. Or bench or lab top treatment in a laboratory with maybe it's from a laboratory, from a research lab. And they could fall under the bench or lab top treatment. Or, if it's a production waste, then the trick for those guys is there some way to treat on-site where they could reuse, either on-site reuse or on-site treatment for on-site reuse or direct use on-site. Maybe in their treatment process, they generate a lot of water, and they can use that water back in their system as non-contact cooling water. That's on-site recycling for on-site reuse.
The other thing you might want to double check is all that acetic acid is a pretty weak acid.
Oh, absolutely. Right. With this particular situation, it's a corrosive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Humorous for the exercise. Yeah.
Actually have a facility and the pH is less than 2. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Number 4, slippery widgets. They generate used oil mixed with water. The water is not hazardous. That runs through a heated process of 190 degrees. And if you look in the definitions and stuff on this, you can see the temperature of the heat matters on this. That's why I included the information. To separate the oil and discharge the water to the sewer. The used oil is manifested off-site to be reclaimed. That, again, is an important information. And the company generates 1,500 gallons of used oil per month. So where did we end up? We're in 10, right? Because that's the So is it A, B, C? You guys like C? Okay, and what tier? CEL, right? Based on how they're managing it, right? Okay, very good. Is everybody happy with that one? All right. Number 5, a research company is treating their laboratory waste. Are they exempt? So what additional information do we need? How is it treated, right? So you guys had to go to that section and look at the tier and see what the requirements were to fit in. Are there any limits on laboratory waste? There's nothing listed there, right?
But when you look at the conditions for laboratory treatment, aren't there volume limits? Yeah. Yeah, and what you'll find is like with conditional exemption tier, conditional exempt specialized waste stream. Typically, it doesn't matter how much is treated as long as it's those specific low hazard specialized waste streams. Conditional exempt small quantity treatment doesn't really matter what waste it is or what the hazard is as long as the volume is very small. That's how the flow chart is controlling the risk, similar to the lab.
The answer was you need to know how it's treated. That matters whether they qualify or not.
Yeah.
Probably.
You didn't write it down.
No, I did not.
We trust you. I think it is.
Well, because I didn't ask for the tier.
No. Be prepared. Yes, it is.
All right.
Yes, it is.
Number 6, a company disposes of waste resin by mixing the components together in accordance with manufacturer instructions and puts the non-hazardous byproduct into the trash. So, again, these conditions matter how you word this because a lot of times you'll have operators that mix a batch and they use it and they may have a little left over and that hardens. They're not treating that, are they? They're not. It was a process. And then it hardened, and so there's no tiered permitting for that. But let's say I have waste resins. I'm not going to use them because I don't like the way they look. You know, maybe the color isn't to my liking. Maybe it has a date on there I don't feel comfortable using anymore, and I don't want to use them. So I'm discarding them. So if by definition of a waste is something that you discard, right? So I don't want them anymore. I'm discarding them. So how do I get rid of them? Well, it's real easy if I just mix them together and dispose of them, right? And no manifesting or anything involved in this. But is it treatment? Is it on the table? What number? All right.
But, you know, when you do your inspection for that one, yes.
Right, but it,
yeah, and if that would be considered part of the process, that's, you know, normal activity.
right.
You know, as they're firing up the ovens and the reactors, that happens. Well, that's just from what you
yeah,
said, I
it's
would
a
consider that
process.
part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that's well, then you know, when there's a difference of interpretation, so well, why do you consider that treatment not part of the process? You know, and again, you know, you have to go look at the process and say, well, explain to me what's happening here. You know, does this stuff normally squirt out as we're firing this thing up and it comes out? Yeah, that's part of the startup process. To me, that's part of the process. And you know, the reason why they want you to mix the resins in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions, and this. Way back when I worked for Hughes Aircraft and in Steve Samura's jurisdictional responsibility area down there in El Segundo where the sewage meets the sea, our smallest volume hazardous waste stream was resins and adhesives. Our highest disposal cost by an order of magnitude, resins and adhesives. And we were one of the 3 companies that made a huge push back when tiered permitting was getting going. We've talked to Dave Liu back when he was working for the department, and to get that in there, you know, so that we could do that. But the concern with doing it in accordance with the manufacturer's directions, what happens if you screw up the mixing? It could kind of blow up. It could off-gas. It could not solidify properly, and some of the B components are pretty nasty sensitizers. So that's why it's important that they mix it in accordance with the instructions, not, I got a bunch of this, I got a bunch of that, I'm going to mix it together. You know, there's a, I don't know if you guys have seen the Northrop Hawthorne drum set of slides. Guys out in their wonderful, wonderful waste yard, mixing a couple of resins and stuff in a drum. Probably shouldn't have capped it until it had all solidified. And it blew the drum into the ceiling. And luckily he wasn't standing right there, because that probably would have killed him. So that's one of the reasons why, and just part of your verification. It may be a small deal, small stuff, but you're going to want to ask them about the process and just see what that flow is for that. So that's...
Right. So, I mean, we get a lot of questions on resin, so I wanted to have a question in here so you guys kind of take a look at it. But there is difference between process and waste disposal. Number 7, a business using 150-gallon plastic tote bins that contained hydrochloric acid wants to wash the container prior to reusing it. The tote bins are not exempt per 22 CCR 66261.7 since they are not completely empty. Can they do this?
No.
Why not?
They're too big.
They're too big. So 110 gallons is the cap on what by definition is a cap on container size? By EPA or DTSC's definition, the state's definition. There's no definition on container size. Container is a portable unit. A tank is a fixed unit. But for some reason, when they came up with these, they didn't want you washing anything larger than a 110-gallon container under tiered permitting. So if you wanted to do this, you would have to get a standardized permit to do this. So you can see kind of some of the frustrations and problems with the system. That was kind of the purpose, you know, to familiarize yourself with the flow chart and just kind of see real world, you know, what the generators are having to go through to do this. It's not easy, is it?
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Doesn't seem right, does it? Oh, there's no logic in hazardous waste.
Yeah, you refer to DTSC. I tell you what, though, unless they're doing it commercially, a standardized permit is a difficult, expensive, long-term project. Yeah, you know, it's not like applying for. How many of you guys have been involved with RCRA Part B permitting? It's almost the same thing with fewer agencies, but still, it's you know, it's easy to say, you know, refer them for standardized permitting. Unless you're making a lot of money doing the treatment, I don't think anyone in the right mind is going to go get that. Certainly not for that type of waste treatment or rinsing out a tote. Yeah.
So on this case of this 150-gallon, the last example, how would one actually do that or meet that? The standard permit is really...
Well, they would probably just make sure that those totes are empty and then send them back to the supplier. The problem there is that they're not empty. Sometimes that's tough. They're going to be using the 220s, 275s, 330s. Just make sure they're empty. You know, it has residual product in it. You know, one of the questions I would have for them is, why aren't you using the rest of that? Well, it's too hard to tip the thing. All right, spend $85,000 on your permit application to get yourself a $20 pump from the new pig guys, and you get a pig hat. You know.
Or barbecue sauce. I love that barbecue sauce.
Great. You mix it with the tusk.
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
So, getting back to our presentation.
Which will be over soon.
It will?
Rack it up.